Paul from all of us. Watch this, y'all. Paul encountered physical and spiritual suffering at the same time. Which says to me, anybody who is a breast cancer survivor or any other survivor will tell you that cancer not only affects your body, it will attack your mind and your spirit. It will have you thinking that you are defeated. It will have you thinking, I'm not going to come out of this. Can I tell it, Sean, you're right. People hear the word cancer and they start falling apart. But it takes a faith in somebody who can say, the doctor says I got cancer, but he was wounded for my transgression. I wish I had somebody that would holler at me in here today that can testify here that it always been easy. I've suffered some things in my life. I've struggled through some things in my life, but through it all, God has been right there. So Paul says, I encountered some things, but few things I see that Paul shows me in the text. Let me show these to you in about 7 minutes, and then I'll leave y'all alone, because it's right here in the text that I see a few things that ought to give all of us the testimony. I had it hard, but I made it over. Let me show it to you real quick. Let me show you how I made it over. The first thing I see in this text, in the story, in the testimony of Paul in this passage, number one, I made it over because, first of all, God reminded me of his goodness. Yeah, that's the first point. God reminded me. Every once in a while, y'all, if you're not careful, life will challenge you. Every once in a while, y'all, you will encounter tests of life that are meant to pull you down. But do you not realize, beloved, that even at your lowest moment, God is still good? Because I'm going to show you something that I saw in this story of Paul. Did y'all notice that with everything that he went through, y'all ain't ready for this, Paul lived to tell about it? Y'all missed a shout. I declare y'all missed a shout. Who goes through being beat to the point of death 5 times and can still live to tell about it? Who goes through shipwreck and ends up in the ocean overnight and lives to tell? Y'all remember that? That's that time that Paul told them that if you make it on boards and broken pieces, if you just stay in the ship, we'll make it to shore. I wish I had somebody who knows anything about living on boards and broken pieces. Anybody know anything about rubbing nickels together, but somehow God made a way? Anybody know anything about running out of options and God still provides solutions? He lived through it. God will remind you, beloved, that even when you think you can't come out over and through, he will continue to take care of you. As a matter of fact, y'all, can I talk for a minute? Our race of people can give that testimony, because isn't it amazing that some of the cotton fields our grandparents and great-grandparents worked in, now some of us own some of those fields. Now some of us live in some of, y'all ain't talking to me. I wish I had somebody who remember. I was talking to somebody this the other day, and they were asking me, Worthy, you don't know anything about an outhouse. I said, no, God's grace preserved me to let me live past all of that, because I don't think I would have been able to make it. I wish I had somebody who knows something about an outhouse. I wish I had somebody who knows that before we had in-home bathrooms, y'all ain't talking to me. God has to somehow, y'all ready, take you back to where you came from to remind you of just how good he's been. And I'm going to preach it while I got your attention. Some of us need a flashback more often than others, because we are quick to get beside ourselves and thinking we did it on our own. The devil is a lie. I need somebody in this room that'll look past who you are and celebrate for who he is. He'll remind you. Paul said, if I'm on glory, that's why I'm glorying. If I'm on glory in the fact that at my lowest point, God was good to me. When I didn't have nothing, God was good to me. Somehow the cupboards were empty. The refrigerator was empty. Nothing in there but a light bulb. But somehow we ate. Somehow. Sometime I hear my daddy now. Daddy said he grew up when he saw the sun through the roof and the chickens through the floor. Y'all so saved. But look at us now. Look how good God has been to us. Sometimes he has to remind us. I said sometimes he has to remind us. And that's why I tell somebody sometimes you got to learn how to look at some of those situations of life that you go through and see them as a means of God reminding you. I can tell you from experience, I ain't talking about y'all. There are some things in my life that I realized God had to use it to humble me. There were some things that God brought me through. Come on, talk to me. There were some things that other folk died in that God got me out of it because he humbled me. There were some situations that other folk were incarcerated by their own negativity, but God brought me through it. There are some, y'all ain't talking to me up in here. There were some situations of life that were supposed to leave me feeling depressed, but God had to remind me that the darkest hours are just before dawn. And if you can hold yourself together, there's a bright side coming somewhere. But then not only does God remind me of his goodness, the second thing that I see that Paul shows me in the text, I had it hard. I made it over, not only because he reminds me of his goodness, but secondly, I made it over because God rescued me from my gloom. He rescued me from my gloom. Let me say this quickly and let me be honest. You can say amen if it relates to you. There are some dark spaces in my life that I can tell you I brought on myself. Don't you sit up in here and act like you done had it wonderful all your life. Butch, there are some situations that I encountered because I should have kept my mouth shut. There were some low moments, Pastor Burson, I encountered because I was told to go one way. Come on, Jonah, talk to me. And I ended up going another direction. There have been moments in my life that I was told to go preach and tell folk one thing, and I went and told them something else, and it still didn't go out right. Come on, talk to me. Y'all ain't got to talk. I'll talk about myself, because deliverance comes when you're able to testify about your mistakes. That's what's wrong with a whole lot of church folk right now. Church folk always want to talk about how good they are, but never want to talk about the stuff you messed up. And God kept you. I wish I had about 20 people in St. James who will testify I've messed up, I've done wrong, I've made mistakes, I should have kept my mouth shut, should have kept my nose out of that, but I got all up in it and messed myself up. But I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary to view the cross where Jesus died for me. I brought it on myself. Because I brought it on myself, now I'm dealing with some gloom. But I got a testimony for somebody. If you go back to God, and if you say to God, create in me a clean heart, God, I feel a holler, and renew within me a right spirit, God will clean. I wish I had somebody in here who knows God will clean you up after you mess up and give you power to keep on moving. He rescued me. Watch the revelation. Come on, Paul, talk to me. Talk to me for a minute. Talk to me. Because I don't want anybody to think that what Paul went through felt good. Johnson, I don't want anybody to think that what he encountered was easy. Come on now. Come on now. There's a piece in the text that I didn't deal with because I think I'll tell you. Paul said, if you really want to see suffering, try running from your enemy. And the only way you can get out is they drop you down a wall. It's right there, y'all. It sure is. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there. It's in verse 32. He says, right in Damascus, the very same place, y'all, that God had to knock me down and wake me up. Damascus, it's right there. The very same place where I was walking on my way to persecute the very crowd I'm in now. God had to knock me flat on my feet. But at that same spot, God brings me right back and shows me rescue. Watch this, y'all. Somebody gonna catch it and I declare you a holler. I wish there's somebody in here who will testify like me that sometimes God will bring you right back to the very place you messed up so you can go back and clean it up after you messed it up. God will bring you right back to that very spot, that very situation. Can I preach it like I feel it? Sometimes he'll bring you back to the very person. Y'all ain't talking. Sometimes he'll let you come right back to the very situation that caused you to go left in the first place. And the good news is he gives you a chance to make it right so you can get back on the right track. Well, y'all, I've been here long enough. I've been here long enough. Let me wrap this up and send y'all home. I had it hard, but I made it over. Why? First of all, he reminded me of his goodness. Secondly, he rescued me from my own gloom. But then third and finally, as I prepare to leave y'all today, I had it hard, but I made it over because finally God rewarded me with his grace. I would this morning that you understand as I prepare to leave you, beloveds, grace is not something that you earn. Grace is not something you deserve. Grace is not something that you get because of who you are or what you have. Grace is a gift. The Bible says, for by grace we are saved through faith, that not of ourselves. It is a gift of God. Paul here in this text recalls his own experiences, the physical suffering, the spiritual suffering, but he winds up saying, what I went through showed me something. What did it show you, Paul? It showed me God's grace, God's riches at Christ's expense. Grace, that thing that we often describe as favor. Now, I know I got somebody in the room today who knows what favor is. I know I got somebody in here who understands what favor looks like. And I dare not insult your intelligence as I close today, but I think it's important that I share with you today as I close how powerful favor really is. May I show it to you as I close? Favor is something that comes from God, not because of us, but in spite of us. Favor is that thing that allows us to walk into situations that we are not qualified even to walk in. And may I be bold enough, Sean, to tell somebody favor is that same thing that often gets us out of some stuff that we put ourselves in the first place. Favor. Favor is that situation that allows me to walk through fire and not worry about being burned. Favor is that thing that allows me to declare that I am more than a conqueror through him that loves me. Favor is that thing that allows me to stand with assurance and say, greater is he that is on the inside of me than he that is in the world. I'm wondering if I got somebody here who can testify I've been rewarded with favor. Don't fool yourself. Let me make it live. Favor will give you a house that your credit would not allow you to obtain. Favor will give you a job that you are not qualified for. You don't meet the qualifications, but somehow you meet the favor of God that gives you what you don't deserve. Now, I don't know about anybody in here, but this morning I feel like rejoicing because after all that I've been through, if you ask me how I made it, I'll have to tell you it was by God's grace. How did you come over, Pastor? It was by God's grace. I had to suffer, but I survived my suffering because of God's grace. When you see me giving him glory, it's not because of what I have. It's because of what he's done for me. Can I preach like I feel it? I wish I had somebody here that would just holler, grace. Grace is that thing that allows you to go through a deadly situation but come out with a testimony. Grace is that thing that allows you to go into a hospital and come out walking. Grace. I wish Frank Battle was here this morning. Frank Battle would tell you grace is that thing that'll let you suffer a stroke, make your way to intensive care, and come right out of intensive care and walk back to your house. Grace. I wonder if there's anybody here who can testify. As a matter of fact, I believe I got some breast cancer survivors that'll tell you it was difficult after every test, after radiation, after chemotherapy. Grace help me. I wish I had somebody that was in trouble in your life and all you know is you came out over and through. You ought to look at somebody and tell them, neighbor, I made it because of grace. I've had it hard. I had to cry sometime. I felt like giving up. I felt like I was defeated. My feelings were hurt. My spirit was brought low. But here's my testimony. Every time I turn around, the Lord bless me. Is there anybody, I'm done, y'all, that can testify I made it because of his grace? Is there anybody in the house this morning that can testify I made it because he kept his arms around me, because the Lord is my shepherd? I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow's grass, and he leads me beside the quiet stream. He restores my failing health and helps me to do what honors him the most. I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. Can I preach it like I feel it? I'm safe because of his grace. Grace, look past my mistakes. Grace, look past my wrongdoing. Grace, look past my iniquity. And he washed me. How did he do it? How did he do it? Can I tell you how he did it? Y'all don't mind if I tell you how I made it. I made it because over 2,000 years ago, a man came from heaven to earth. He tiptoed through 42 generations. He walked the earth for 33 years. Can I tell you how I made it? He took spit and dirt and had an anointing service, and a blind man came out seeing. Can I tell you how I made it? He went to a wedding. Y'all ain't talking to me. And they ran out of wine, and with 12 pots of water, he turned it into something sweeter than Stella Rosa Black. Can I tell you how I made it? I made it because he took a boy's snack and turned it into a buffet bigger than Golden Corral. Can I tell you how I made it when that was enough? Just when you think it was all over, he blessed me when he took a cross on his shoulder, marched it up Golgotha's hill. I made it when they drove nails in his hand, when they drove nails in his feet. I made it when they punched a hole in his side, crushed a crown of thorns on his head. He died. I declare he died. They thought it was over, but somewhere somebody forgot. Let me tell you, he said, if you destroy this body, if you give me 3 days, I'll raise it back up again. How did you make it? I made it after they laid him in the borrowed tomb. But early Sunday morning, when he got up proclaiming, I am he that was dead, but I'm alive forevermore. I had it hard, but my testimony is because he got up. I made it. Is there anybody in the room today that can testify? After all you've been through, you made it. You ought to look at somebody and tell them, neighbor, please excuse me while I give him grace, because I made it over the hill, over the valley, over the rough side of the mountain. I made it. I made it. I made it. survivor's testimony. That's the survivor's testimony. After all I've been through, my testimony is I made it through many dangers, toils, and snares. I have already come. How did you make it? Grace! I'm done. Well, my friends, we have come to the end of another Great Awakenings television broadcast. It's been my joy to share this last 30 minutes with you today, and I pray as always that what you have seen and heard has been a blessing, an uplift, an empowerment, and an encouragement to your life. Let me take this moment, of course, to invite you to join us right here at the place of Great Awakenings, the St. James Missionary Baptist Church. St. James Church is located 527 East Thomas Street, just off of Raleigh Boulevard, here in the city of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I want to invite you to join us for Sunday School, Cyber Sunday School at the present, every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on all of our streaming platforms, as well as the telephone conference line. And then, of course, we invite you to join us for Sunday worship. You have the option of joining us in person or virtually every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Don't forget about a Bible study that is held virtually on Tuesdays at 11:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. And I'm happy to announce that beginning Tuesday, September the 7th, we will return to in-person Bible study on Tuesday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Remember our midweek prayer meeting every Wednesday at 12 noon on the telephone conference line. We'd love to have you join us for any or all of our worship experiences here at the St. James Church. Of course, if today's broadcast has been a blessing to you to the point that you desire to have it on CD or DVD, by all means, contact our church media department using the information that you see on the screen. Be sure to request that service number to ensure that our media and technology ministry will make sure that you receive the correct service in the correct format as you request it. Again, beloveds, as we've come to the close of our time of sharing today, I pray again that you have been blessed by this time of sharing. Again, we say good morning to all of those who are watching Great Awakenings in perhaps hospitals, nursing homes, convalescent homes, or even your private sick homes. A special good morning to our extended family at Carrollton of Nash, who watches us faithfully every Saturday morning. Good morning to you, and know your St. James family loves you. Again, beloveds, I pray as always that God will keep you in a perfect peace as you keep your minds stayed on Him. And until next Saturday morning, when we have yet another opportunity to present the word, worship, and witness of the St. James Church, I am Pastor J.T. Worthy saying, may the blessings of the Lord be with you now and always. Have a great rest of your day.